So this is lecture 1 on basics of enzymes. This is the disclaimer that this is meant for educational purpose only for the students of MSc in different branches of life sciences who are affected by lockdown due to COVID-19. And it should not be used for any other purpose, copied or posted on any site without the permission of the author, that is me. And some of the pictures in the presentation have been taken from public domain websites or popular books so as to make the topic easy to understand, and credit for such pictures remain with the original publisher. All right. So the question that comes is, what are enzymes? So enzymes are, in simple terms, they're catalysts, but they're catalysts in biological systems, and therefore they're also called as biocatalyst popularly, right? So they are catalyst in the biological system, or a simple word for that can be biocatalyst. What are they chemically? Great majority of enzymes, even today, chemically they are proteins. In fact, till 80s, proteins had the monopoly over enzymatic activity. It was in the beginning of the 1980s that we started learning that RNA can also have catalytic activity. That means RNA can also serve as uh, enzymes. So it was Thomas Seck, the path-breaking discovery by Thomas Seck and Sidney Altman in the mid-80s, 1980s. They for the first time found out that even RNA molecules can have enzymatic activity. But still, having said this, still the great majority of enzymes are protein. Only a few RNAs have this catalytic or enzymatic activity. Okay, so what do these enzymes do? So enzymes determine the pattern of chemical transformation in living organisms. The pattern of chemical transformation solely is determined by the activity of the enzyme. And second important thing that they do is they mediate transformation of one form of energy to another. For example, try and understand this particular point taking a couple of examples. For example, in photosynthesis, what happens? The solar energy gets converted into chemical bond energy of ATP. Similarly, in oxidative phosphorylation, what happens? You have energy which is stored in biomolecules, gets converted into the energy of the ATP molecules. Similarly, in muscle contraction, the energy of the ATP molecule gets converted into mechanical energy so that muscles can be contracted. So all these reactions, in all these examples, the energy transformation from one form to the other is basically mediated by enzymes. So this is second important what you can say activity of the enzymes. What are the characteristics? Some common characteristics of enzymes. The two most common characteristics of all the enzymes are, number one, their catalytic power. They have huge, massive catalytic power. That means they can increase the rate of a given chemical reaction by almost a million fold. 1 million का मतलब होता है 10 लाख. So लगभग 10 लाख गुना they increase the rate of a given chemical reaction. And second important characteristic is that all the enzymes, they show substrate specificity. They are specific for either a given substrate or a group of closely related substrates. When they're specific only for a given substrate, such specificity is called as absolute specificity. That means, for example, a reaction catalyzed by glucokinase. The substrate for this is glucose. It will convert this glucose into glucose 6-phosphate, right? So this glucokinase will act only on glucose. It will not act on any other hexose sugar. But when you talk of general specificity, where an enzyme can act on a group of closely related substrate, that kind of specificity is called as general specificity. For example, reaction catalyzed by enzyme hexokinase. So hexokinase will convert glucose to glucose 6-phosphate. It will also convert fructose to fructose 6-phosphate. Both of them are hexoses. Okay, so hexokinase will phosphorylate all hexoses, glucose, fructose, mannose, like that, albeit with different efficiencies, but it can phosphorylate all the hexoses. Whereas a glucokinase, it shows absolute substrate specificity, it will phosphorylate only glucose. So enzymes show substrate specificity. It is an important characteristic of all the enzymes. All enzymes, they are also characterized by the presence of what is termed as an active site. Okay, what is an active site? It is also called as substrate binding site. Substrate binding site. It is here that the substrate comes and bind. Or catalytic site. That means it is this site which is involved in the process of catalysis. So typically enzymes are big molecules. They are made up of 100, 200, 300, 400 amino acids. But this active site is typically 2-3 amino acids in size. Okay, and the amino acids of the active site need not necessarily be linearly close to each other on the polypeptide chain. In fact, the amino acids of the active site are contributed by different parts of the polypeptide chain. So one amino acid at the active site may be amino acid number 10 of the polypeptide chain, the other amino acid may be amino acid number 125 of the polypeptide chain, and the other third amino acid may be amino acid number 290 of a 350 long amino acid long polypeptide chain. So the three amino acids at the active site need not necessarily be linearly close to each other in the polypeptide chain. They actually come from different parts of the polypeptide chain. So basically it is a unique three-dimensional entity. The active site is a unique three-dimensional entity. Okay, amino acids, when the polypeptide chain folds into three dimension, the amino acid from different parts of the polypeptide chain, they come close to each other in a very unique conformation, unique three-dimensional conformation, unique for that particular enzyme only to form the active site of the enzyme. Okay, so for example, it has been shown over here. So this is the enzyme protein, a big molecule, big polypeptide chain made up of number of amino acids, but active site will be very small. It is here that the substrate comes and bind. This is substrate molecule that comes and bind. But biochemically speaking, let's say this is the linear polypeptide chain. Okay, and these are the amino acids. The one in color, these circles, these are the side chains of the amino acids, right? So when this polypeptide chain folds into three dimension, this is folding. Okay, so some of the amino acids from different parts of the polypeptide chain, they come close to each other, not randomly, in a very unique conformation. Okay, so these are the amino acids which form the active site, which are part of the active site. Of this 4-5 shown over here, actually in catalysis 2 or 3 participate, others have only a supporting role. So for example, it has been shown more clearly in this particular picture. So only 2 or 3 amino acids actually participate in the process of catalysis. Other amino acids, if at all they are involved at the active site, if at all they are part of the active site, they will play a supporting role. So please understand that it is made up of only 2-3 amino acids. Okay, and those 2-3 amino acids, they come from different parts of the polypeptide chain, of the long polypeptide chain shown over here. Okay, and when this polypeptide chain folds into three dimension, these amino acids, they come close to each other in a very unique three-dimensional conformation, forming the active site. Okay, which is complementary to the substrate site which interacts with the enzyme. It is here that a few bonds in the substrate are broken and a few new bonds are formed so that the substrate is converted to product. Okay, so it's a minimal invasive kind of a transformation. Only a few bonds are broken and only a few new bonds are formed and the substrate gets converted into the product. So the next question that comes is, how do enzymes increase the rate of given chemical reaction? So I told you that they increase the rate of given chemical reaction by almost a million-fold. So there are a number of factors which contribute to this increase in the reaction rate in presence of enzyme. But the most important is that enzymes, in enzyme catalyzed reaction, the conversion of substrate to product, S means substrate to product, goes through an intermediate stage, and that intermediate stage is called as transition state. Okay, so substrate is getting converted to product, right? Substrate is getting converted to product. This is substrate, but the conversion is not in one step. It goes through a transition state. It is shown by S double star. Okay, this is called as transition state. S double star is the transition state species. It has higher free energy than both substrate and product. The molecules in transition state, substrate molecules in transition state, they have higher energy, higher free energy than both substrate and product. The difference in free energy of substrate in transition state and substrate in ground state is called as Gibbs free energy of activation. Gibbs free energy of activation. The difference between the free energy of the substrate molecule in transition state, which I just said have higher free energies, and the substrate in ground state is called as Gibbs free energy of activation, and it is given by this Gibbs free energy of activation. It is equal to Gibbs free energy of activation of substrate molecule in transition state minus the free energy of substrate molecule in the ground state. The difference of the two is called as Gibbs free energy of activation. Please understand the rate of reaction is directly proportional. Rate of chemical reaction is directly proportional to the number of substrate molecules in the transition state. Higher the number of substrate molecule in transition state, more is going to be the rate of chemical reaction. More the number of substrate molecule in transition state, more will be the rate of reaction. So what basically enzymes do? Enzymes decrease the activation energy barrier. So enzyme combine with substrate molecule and create an alternate pathway whereby the amount of energy that is required by the substrate molecule to reach to the transition state, that decreases. That quantum of energy required for the substrate molecule to reach to the transition state decreases significantly. So that lowering of activation energy barrier enables more and more substrate molecules to enter the transition state. And as we just said, that the rate of chemical reaction is directly proportional to the number of substrate molecules in transition state. So more the number of substrate molecule in transition state, more is going to be the rate of chemical reaction. So I just tried to explain you with this particular graph. For example, here, say the one in blue, this is the ground state of the substrate molecule, and this is the transition state of the substrate molecule where enzyme is not present, uncatalyzed reaction. So the amount of energy that is required by the substrate molecule to reach to the transition state is this much. Okay, so as long as this amount of energy is not provided to the substrate molecules, they won't be able to attain the transition state, and unless they attain the transition state, they will not be converted into the product, right? But in presence of enzyme, that means in catalyzed reaction, what happens? Enzyme combines with substrate and creates an alternate path where the barrier has been lowered down significantly. This is in presence of enzyme. So you require significantly less amount of energy for the substrate molecule to attain the transition state, and this allows more and more substrate molecule to enter the transition state, and the rate of a given chemical reaction is directly proportional to the number of substrate molecules in the transition state. So enzymes, by lowering the activation energy barrier, allow more and more substrate molecule to enter the transition state and thereby increase the rate of a given chemical reaction. We can understand this by taking an analogous example. Let's say this is the bar for the high jump, and if we keep it at 2 meters, then you can imagine only a few athletes will be able to cross over and land here if it is 2 meters. Okay, 2 meters is more than 6 feet. Okay, but if the bar has been lowered to, let's say, 1 meter, then more number of athletes can cross and enter the other side, get into the other side of the this bar. And if you further lower it down, let's say if you make it at 0.5 meter, almost everybody can just walk over this particular bar. Okay, so lowering the activation energy barrier, lowering that barrier significantly helps substrate molecules to attain the transition state, and this is the reason why in presence of enzymes, the rate of reaction increases tremendously. The next question that comes is, so if enzymes increase the rate of chemical reaction, do they alter the reaction equilibrium also? And the answer to that is no. Enzymes, they do increase the rate of chemical reaction, but they do not alter the reaction equilibrium. So what do? They rather help it attain rapidly or quickly. Okay, so let us try and understand this particular statement by taking this example. So you have a reaction, a reversible reaction, where a substrate A is getting converted into B. Okay, the forward rate constant for this particular reaction, designated by Kf, is 10 to the power minus 4. And the reverse rate constant for this reaction, designated as Kr, is 10 to the power minus 6. So the equilibrium constant K of this reaction, it is given by a ratio of B to A, or forward rate constant to reverse rate constant. Or you can put the values of forward rate constant and reverse rate constant in this equation. So you have 10 to the power minus 4 over 10 to the power minus 6. That means 100. So equilibrium constant of this reaction is 100. What does this 100 mean? This 100 means that at equilibrium, the concentration of B is 100 times that of A. At equilibrium, the concentration of B is 100 times that of A. Equilibrium constant of 100 indicates that the concentration of B is 100 times that of A at the equilibrium, irrespective whether enzyme is present or enzyme is absent. In presence of enzyme or in absence of enzyme, at equilibrium, B is going to be present at a concentration which is 100 times more than that of A. Okay, so how does enzyme help here? So in an uncatalyzed reaction, if this equilibrium is attained, for attaining this equilibrium, for attaining this ratio of 1:100 of A to B, if it requires, let's say, an hour, 60 minutes, in presence of enzyme, the same equilibrium, the same ratio of 1:100 of A and B can be achieved in less than a second. So enzymes, they do not alter the reaction equilibrium, rather they help it attain quickly, rapidly. Thank you.